Hey everybody, the sun is in my eyes, so I'm going to walk this way. Today, I'm going to be talking about some plans, and specifically how my plans have changed with sheep. If you've watched a few videos on my channel, you know that I love my Dorper sheep. I'm really excited to be a lifelong Dorper guy. But some things have changed, and I want to do it a little bit differently now. If this is your first video with me, welcome. Glad to have you. Love talking about Dorper sheep, along with many other things in the homesteading realm. So if that's up your alley, consider subscribing. Okie doke. First off, I fenced off my property and put it in two equal halves, mostly equal halves. I didn't actually measure it. I'm just grabbing some hay right now. Look at this. I bought all my hay in bulk for the year. This is 50 bales, minus 5, because I've been using it for a month, for my sheep. So, why am I feeding my sheep hay in the middle of the day? They have grass. Well, I've actually reseeded all of this stuff. Some of it almost a week ago, some of it just last night. So I don't really want my sheep on it right now. So they are in my future hog run, which is going to be pretty cool. But the downside of that is that maybe they'd rather be on the grass. I'm sure they would. They'll get there. I just want to give my grass 2 weeks of fallow time before I let the sheep on there. So they're actually resting in this barn, which is kind of cool. They've never ever used it before until I put them in here. So it's kind of fun that they've got some shelter that they've always had. Now they're just using it. That's so funny. This is the first time I have come out here and given them hay and they haven't rushed to it. So they must really be enjoying their nap, or they're chewing the cud or something. But they're in this run right here right now, and I'm trying to grow some grass here. This just needs to pick it up. It's just very old grass. It's basically lawn grass mixed with weeds. Here's the crew. Hi girls. So I have 5 ewes here, and I'm only on an acre and a quarter, but really my pasture probably isn't even an acre. Not probably, I know for sure. It's not even an acre. And so to have 5 ewes here kind of stresses me out. I've never had that many. Last year I had 2 ewes. So that really puts it in perspective. And these sheep can be really loud and demanding sometimes. And honestly, I worry about their nope, just going to be weird shade. Okay. And honestly, sometimes I worry about the fact if they have enough food out here. So for me, I'd rather do this right than do it big, you know? And we've got so many things going on. This house and this homestead have required so much work from us recently. Not recently, since day one of moving here. We've been here almost a year now, and it's so much work. And me, being a naive city kid, I just thought oh, how much do sheep need? Not a lot. Well, actually, they need a lot of work. Stuff like this, putting up these fences. I didn't realize that you should be rotating sheep back and forth. So I split my pasture in 2, but stuff like that takes a lot of time. So I'm just wondering if breeding sheep is really the best fit for me. So right now, what I want to do is one of these ewes, this one right here, all of them have really stopped weaning, but maybe you'll be able to tell right here. Her right bag was the only bag that dropped when she was nursing. And her daughter is significantly smaller than her cousin that had a mom that had both bags fill up. So I think she's a cull right now, which is unfortunate. But it's nice because we get more lamb, and she's still a yearling, so she'll still taste fine. Bugs, man. What I'm getting at here is I don't think I'm going to stay in the sheep breeding business indefinitely. Instead, what I want to do is I want to breed 4 of these ewes this year and see what I get. And I've got a few connections that will buy or trade these ewes. So these are full blood registered, so they're pretty high price items. So it's not that hard to get rid of them. So I think I want to offload some of these. All of them are less than 2 years old also, so that really helps. But I think I want to offload these girls and basically for a few years just go down to finishing rams over here. So I would love to be able to just have 4 or 5 rams each year that are just kind of like cull stock, and I just finish them here. So the downside to that is that long term that can be a little expensive. My connections for a weaned full-blood Dorper ram run about $200 a ram, so that's not cheap, especially if you're getting 5 of those, that's $1,000. You can make much more back with that, obviously, by butchering them, but one of the reasons why that would be nice is that my pasture just really needs a break. And if I have ewes here, that means for 12 months out of the year, I have ewes on my pasture. And I really want to let my pasture go to seed. I really want a lush pasture. I want it to lay fallow for a little bit. And I think just keeping some rams is really going to help me do that. Because I'm only going to, if you get rams, they're weaned at 2 months. You butcher them at 6 or 7 months. That means you have rams for maybe max like 5 months on your property, which means you have another 7 months fallow where you can rotate stuff. So I think that would be really nice to do for a few years and then get back into the actual sheep breeding business. As much as I love these girls, they're all great. It's just kind of a lot. They're also so loud, or they can be, I should say. And the problem with that is I naively thought, oh, they must be hungry, so I fed them some hay when they totally didn't need it. And now they just expect it, even though they have grass. Granted, my pasture's not awesome. This is my neighbor's over here. If you're looking at it like, oh, that looks fine. It's not mine. That's my neighbor's. This is mine. The stuff that has grass like that tall, and the grass is actually weeds, that's my pasture. So I've got some work to do there. I think this property totally has the potential to house 4 or 5 ewes year-round. But I just need to get it there. And so in the meantime, I think what I'll do is I'll breed these girls. I'll use the profits from their children, from their ewes, I should say, and from them to basically kick me off for the next couple of years, buying rams or maybe wethers and just finishing them here on the farm, if that makes sense. So let's say I buy rams that are born in first part of March. So that means they'll be weaned in April, May. So first part of May, they'll be weaned, which means I've got them for another 4 or 5 months. So in September, maybe even in October, I can put those rams to butcher. And what's really nice about that is I just get to take the winter off. I get to take lambing season off. And I think that's going to be really, really cool for me, for my family. And we still have chickens and stuff to keep us plenty busy. So not worried about having nothing to do in the winter, but coming out, making sure the bowl hasn't frozen over, all that stuff kind of gets old. So I could really use some time off while we're kind of going through this busy season of our lives. I forgot to say the downside of this. There's totally a downside to it, and it's a real bummer. The downside is that 2 ewes that were born on my property this year were bred they were bred, their sire, that's the word for it, their sire was a ram that they were kind of just running with, just a new ram to the people that I bought them from. That ram since then has become the yearling ram champion of the Western states for the Dorper Association. So this girl right here, who's not looking at us, and the one peeing next to her, those 2 have championship bloodlines. So they're almost identical genetics, cousins, different moms, but the same dad, born around the same time. sold for $1,000 a piece. So that is a total downside. Like if I abandon the breeding program, I've got just such good stock right now, and to be throwing that away would be kind of a bummer. But it's also eating out my mental sanity. So it's a give and take. This is not set in stone, but this is just what I'm planning to do. If you have any thoughts or experience about, just finishing rams, I'd be really interested in knowing what you've done. I think some of the things I'm most worried about are just aggressive sheep. But I think a big benefit is that hay barn, they won't know there's hay in there. I just remembered what I was going to say about rams. One of the best things about doing this is, like, let's say I get rams on my property in May, right? So they're weaned in May, and they come to me. My grass is going to look so good by then, and I'm not going to have to put out any hay because I will rotate them back and forth. 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, and I think that's going to really help cut down on hay costs and even though it's only like a couple $100 a year, sometimes more, unless I plan better, it's really important to save money on that stuff where you can. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk with you guys about today. If you have any experience with that, let me know. My wife is waving me down right now because I promised to take the kid. I sound like a deadbeat dad. I promised to take my daughter to preschool, so I gotta run and do that. But if you have any experience with this kind of stuff, please let me know. I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from someone who's done this more than me. Okay, thanks. I'll see you on the next video.